Representative Halverson, thank you for joining us. Can you begin by explaining your district and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I have the pleasure of representing Eagan's District 51B, which is pretty much the eastern half of Eagan. 35E is the bright dividing line for most of my district, and so it's kind of easy to find just south of St. Paul here. And I am serving my second term and have been working on the Health and Human Service Committee, on Commerce Committee, on elections, actually since I was first elected, and I've also added now government operations to the committees I get to serve on.
Can you describe your life outside the state capitol?
Yes, it's exciting. I'm a mom to an 8-year-old, and when I got elected I was actually a stay-at-home mom, and so my job outside of here is really things a lot of moms will relate to. Taxi, we're involved in a lot of sports, we're involved in a lot of extracurricular activities, and not to mention lots of time with friends. And so my time outside the legislature is really spent in the community in Eagan, being engaged in our schools, being engaged in our parks and recreation, and all the great things that our community of Eagan has to offer our families.
What are the priorities of your constituents?
Without a doubt, education always rises to the top of the list in Eagan. We're home to some of the top-rated schools in the state and in the country, and we're very proud of that. And so making sure that our schools have the resources they need to continue to produce competitive students. Additionally, we're home to some major employers, including Thomson Reuters, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. The Minnesota Vikings are moving their training headquarters to Eagan. And so we've got large employers that are looking for a well-trained workforce. And so for those reasons, education always rises to the top of the list. In addition, I hear a lot from folks when I'm at the doors about our environment, making sure that we've got clean water, clean air. Those seem to be important across the board to folks, in addition to things like making sure our government really works well for the people.
Are there any bills or pieces of legislation that you are working on right now?
I've been working hard over the interim to find out what our community needs. So you'll be seeing legislation from me this session on increasing the number of social workers in our schools, making sure that our kids have access to appropriate mental health services when they need them, and that we don't have people falling through the cracks and we're not treating crisis and mental health. And our schools are a really great place to capture that before things become crisis. I'm also working on clean elections. Minnesota has a great reputation for clean elections, and with some changes on the national scene in terms of reporting and disclosure, I want to be sure that all of our citizens have the ability to see who's funding campaigns, who's funding third-party mailers and advertisements about candidates, so that our citizens can really have the access to the information that they need. I'm also working very hard on some cost containment strategies in our healthcare system. Again, really looking to transparency, making sure consumers have the information that they need so that we can address the rising costs in our healthcare system, which continue to be a huge concern for families. It's really impacting bottom lines, and so those are kind of 3 big priority areas you'll be seeing work from me this session.
My final question is, who inspires you, and what do you find inspirational about him or her?
Well, that is a really great question. There certainly are a lot of people that inspire me, and I probably would have to, dig down into my life of grassroots work. And my grandfather was always a big inspiration to me. He passed away about 8 years ago, but he is the one who really, I think, helped spark this value of civic engagement that is so important to me. And I've been a community volunteer my whole life because of him. In our hometown, he started the Boy Scouts. He started the fire department. He was a state senator for the state of Minnesota, and the value of service just was embedded in the way that I was raised. And I often think about my grandfather and the work he did and the things that he is so proud of, in terms of his contributions to his community, and I want to live up to those values.
Representative Halverson, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much. It was great talking to you.